don't believe in Jesus, we don't believe in Moses, we don't believe
كلامك
in
صح،
Abraham,
كلامك عين
or
العقل.
we say that someone is better than other, considered Muslims. So we cannot reply with the same actions that we see with the same deceiving or the same lying or the same, the media is definitely not doing a lot of people wrong, right, not only the Muslims, but we can see some societies also the media is portraying them to be offensive and barbarian and so on. I took a long time to explain this or answering this question, but I hope يعني, at the end you just understand that my stance as a Muslim is I hope one day that the people see the truth, that the people see beyond the media, that the people instead of watching the news or watching someone portraying other person
اصلا ما لي
in a
دخل،
wrong
انا
way,
حشرت نفسي ذاك
they
اليوم
go on YouTube
بقوه.
and they watch, for example, vlogs of people who travel to Muslim countries. There are many Americans, French, Europeans, Asians, Africans who travel to Muslim countries, and they show with the camera what's happening there, how the people are acting. So that, I think, is a true media. You would see the true people from these kind of videos because it's personal. It's not by corporates. It's not political. It's personal. So I hope one day that the people see that, and the VR is helping us a lot to get to know each other as people, to speak to each other in person. So I think the world is changing, and hopefully the people will see the truth.
Yeah, and actually, I salute your initiative to be here because one more. You're right. We can go on YouTube and probably search the internet to have answers, but your presence as a physical presence capable of answering questions like this um, is certainly going to do a lot of good. It's an acceleration of the dialogue um, that that should take place between different religions, between different societies and communities to learn, because that's really what's going to combat the bad press. The selling press. The press is there to sell their business, right? That's a business, and so it's understandable that they are going to really look for events that are going to make a lot of audience. But at the end of the day, it seems to me that it's important for somebody that's from a certain faith to also be present somewhere so that people can understand that whatever is in the press, in the media, is not what is what is. What is what the real regular believers say, but that voice needs to be present somewhere, and that's what you're doing here. That's fantastic.
Thank you. And we try also our best to keep this platform a free platform. It's not a Muslim platform. It's not belong to any certain religion. Of course, it was made by Muslims. That's why you see the masjid and you see the Islamic architecture, maybe. But it's for everyone. And everyone who comes here, they can preach or talk or discuss their own faith. And we had in this place today, I think it's a bit quiet, but we had in the past weeks, we had people from all around the world. Like we had atheists, agnostics, Jewish, Christians, and they discuss their faith. They talk about it, and no one is telling anyone anything in this place, especially because we know how sensitive it is to talk about religion around the world today in these times. Even in virtual reality, if you go to some other worlds, maybe people will look at you in a weird way if you speak about religion. So we try to keep this platform free for everyone, to come here and discuss whatever they want to discuss. It's not like we say you have to only talk about Islam. No, you can talk about anything you want.
Got you. Thank you for this. Then I appreciate.
Right. you for coming back. Yeah. So let's see. Saint, welcome.
Hi there. How are you?
All good.
How have you
How
been?
you doing? All good. Just you know, same same event, different day.
Yep, understandable.
Yep.
I really I just to reiterate what you were just saying. Actually, we do appreciate these kind of events. They're we learn a lot. I myself have learned so much in these events. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for the good words. Appreciate that.
I think I've met you several times, maybe in Campfire, and I also appreciate sometime a more engaged debates, where your deep knowledge get to be shown when it's challenged. Uh, so sometime a good debate with opposing view is also very enriching.
Yeah, I think free speech should be respected all time, everywhere. So if someone having a certain opinion, it's not like they're attacking people or something. As long as they don't like go over, they don't offend, they don't curse, or they don't say bad words or something like that. But if someone having an opinion, I believe that opinion should be respected and saved, and of course challenged and discussed. Um, and nothing better than being honest and saying the truth, because at the end of the day, we say the rope of the lies is short. It's so easy to find, if someone is not telling the truth. So I think honest conversations and discussions and opinions are important for bridging the nations and beliefs, as you said in the beginning.
And I think I've the idea of this location is uh,
Salam, bro.
maybe my memory is wrong, but isn't there a place either where you live or maybe you reference London or like a big city where you actually there is a location, a physical location where people go and actually debates, and so you or your friend took sort of the same idea and brought it into VR. Am I mistaken?
That is correct. There is a place in London, to be specific, in Hyde Park. It's called the
Okay, yeah,
Speaker's Corner.
yes, okay. So that's
If you go on YouTube
similar
and
idea
write
here, right?
Speaker's Corner, yeah, it's a virtual idea of the virtual Speaker's Corner, we say. So this place right here used to be the Speaker's Corner, and
Uh-huh.
now all the place is the Speaker's Corner.
One thing is would be interesting to. I mean, the first thing I may do is actually look in VR, no, on YouTube to see what happened at a speaker corner. But I think that I may have seen it in the past. It's very very animated, right?
Animated, as in,
Like there's basically there's a lot of people and people there's real there's people that are very 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 good at debating, and so you have a very intense debate where
mm,
very good arguments are presented, and you have an audience that's either cheering or voicing their agreement or disagreement. I think it's very alive. Isn't it?
right, that is correct. The people who usually visit the Speaker's Corner, the real one actually, they are quite knowledgeable.
Salam, bro.
They know what they are talking about.
Walaikum salam.
Yes.
How you doing, brother? Alhamdulillah, bro. How are you?
Have you yourself
Alhamdulillah, all good. I
participated
think they
in
might be able to hear us if over here, bro.
these debates, these physical debates?
Not really. think I'm more like a calm person. I'm not a debater. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, but then I wish that one day, and hopefully it's in my plans, that one day I will visit the real speakers corner, just to be in the in the environment and see people discussing and debating, and
You know,
how does it goes.
it would be interesting to actually bring those people here. Those people that are actually having are used to the large public to come in here and debate. Because they sadly you can bring them and they may actually be in very different location and still can provide a very good debate.
Mm. So we did contacted EF Dawah. We had their poster over there actually. EF Dawah, if
Uh-huh.
you know them, they are famous
No, I
in
don't.
the speakers corner, the real one, and
Okay.
they have
Okay.
their YouTube channel, and they have their streams. They do even invite people on YouTube streams and so on. So we invited them here, and they came and discussed, and they had some debates happening here. It was
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
Yeah,
You did it.
but we need maybe to bring um, two sides from there. I believe, not one side, because
Sure,
when we
sure, of
bring
course.
EF Dawah only, I think we also need to bring, for example, someone from Christianity, for example, representing Christianity, who is as strong or as knowledgeable as EF Dawah,
Mm-hmm.
um, because they've been doing this for a long time. I would say they are more knowledgeable than me in religion, of course. So if we have like someone who is more knowledgeable in Christianity, maybe, or Judaism, or even atheism, any kind of belief, and they have a debate, I think it would be interesting.
Absolutely.
So I have a question for you. I was
Go ahead.
in a conversation a couple days ago, yesterday, and it was in big screen, and uh, a Muslim representative was there, and then a Hindu representative was there, and they were comparing ideas back and forth, and it was actually kind of interesting how similar their ideas are when you break them down. When you break them down into individual ideas, I was really surprised. We were all very surprised that there was so many different correlations between the raw Hindu concept, and of course that's a mythological concept. However, um, it was really interesting how both were so similar.
So, in Islam, we believe that there was prophets being sent to all nations. In every nation, that there was a prophet. There are in Islam, I think, more than 120,000 prophets being sent. Um, so probably, in some scholars in Islam, they say um, even Buddha, maybe he was a prophet. Uh, uh, and of course, India, of course, they had their prophets as well. So that's why the message is been always in the nations. That's why you find some similarities in the nations. That's one. And two, we believe that we was born as a good people in Islam. We have the fitra within us. Fitra is basically the original submission to the God, like the original way of acting. Like when you see something bad happening, you have a feeling that, oh, that's not right. That's something wrong. So that feeling itself, we believe that we was born with that feeling. We're not cultured to have that feeling. It's like we're born with it. So these two things makes a lot of similarities between religions around the world. However, when you put things in reality, when we put things in like in logic test, only one religion or idea have to be the right one. And I will tell you why. I will explain. Because, for example, if uh, if if Christianity is right, if Christianity is right, and Hindus If they don't believe in Jesus, then they are wrong by default. And Muslim, if they don't believe Jesus died for their sins, then they are wrong by default. And nothing wrong with that. I'm just explaining this idea that when you think about it logically, there have to be one faith that is correct. And it's not to say that this face is better than this one, this face is better than that. No, it's about just reasoning. What is the right one? Which one is the correct one? That's the whole
But
point.
wouldn't you say that there is some sort of context to perception or a person's viewpoint? Because, for instance, when I look at you, I see this particular palm tree that's behind you, and I see a particular view that way. And when you look at me, you see the things that are behind me. Wouldn't it also be sort of a viewpoint instead of one being the right, viewpoint versus another person's viewpoint?
So it goes down like this. If we believe that there is a creator who created everything, and that creator, he sent us a message to have a relation with him. Because the main point for this life, as Muslims we believe, is to have a relationship with the creator, to find him, to know him, to get to know
Mhm.
who is the creator. So now we have different messages. I'm saying if you believe in the creator and you believe that he sent messages, that's the first step. And the second step is to find which message is the truth. Because, of course, the creator will not have contradicted messages. And, and
It's
I
not
mean by that,
necessarily contradictions. It's just there has to be something said for a particular viewpoint and a directional viewpoint. So it's not that my viewpoint is incorrect or your viewpoint is incorrect. It's still the same viewpoint, just mine is looking that direction and yours is looking this direction. So it's still the same view. It's still the same creation. It's still the same, um, it's the same universe, but I'm looking one direction and you're looking the other direction. It doesn't contradict with each other. It's just your view and my view. But together, our views together actually kind of make the whole, so to speak. Or actually, all of our views together sort of make the whole. You understand what I'm saying?
hmm. So if I understand you correctly, you're saying there would be a universal religion that have all this belief under it, and they're all right in their
Kind
own
of,
way.
yeah. Sort of
Well,
a universal a philosophy where a universal concept comes into play, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a contradiction or that you're wrong and I'm right, or I'm right and you're wrong. It's just um, a different viewpoint based on the ideas and based on the culture and based on the people and the writing styles and the concepts developed throughout history and all of the different factors that make a very rich people group. um, so like the Muslim culture, for instance, is incredibly rich with beauty, and it's a beautiful people group. But there's multiple people groups on earth. So wouldn't that same people group be impacted by the same creator?
hmm. And now, I think those are two questions. So I will start with the last one. The same creator, as Muslims, we believe the same
Welcome,
creator
Helva. How are you?
will judge everyone. The same creator will judge
I
everyone,
see.
regardless of their belief, regardless
Give me
on what
your
they believe in.
give me
Because
your face.
the creator
Oh, you are from the computer.
is something, if we for sure say that there is a
Okay.
creator, then that creator, he created everything. and he created by default the Muslims, the Hindus, the Christians, the Jewish, the all of these people. So all of these people are created by the Creator. So of course the Creator would love them and try to, be just when treating them, and he want them to come closer and find him. Of course, that's regarding the second question. However, the first point you mentioned is sounding amazing, that we have a universal religion, that everyone is correct on their own way. They just have a different point of view than other groups. However, the challenge here is these religions, at least when we talk about the creator, they define the creator differently, and we can start from there. I'm not going to go into the micros, but let's talk about the macros, the most important things. The creator himself, the
I appreciate the way you put that. That was very good.
thank you. So the Christians would tell you that God is three in one, or most of them they would say that God is three in one. So He's God, Holy Spirit, and the Son, Jesus, as they would say. You go to the Muslims, they tell you no,
Um,
it's one God.
well,
You go to
that's
the
not
Hindus,
necessarily true. So John 10:34 states that ye are gods, or ye are spirits, and ye are all children of the Most High. So
right?
that was actually Yeshua's or Isa's statement that we are all children of the same universe or the same, you know, creator ultimately.
I'm
So it
sorry.
wouldn't
I can't
necessarily
resolve.
be, one Father, one Son, and Holy Spirit.
Enjoy.
Yeshua made it very clear that we are all children. Every one of us are children,
I will come to you
and
after
the
the
same
dialogue
Creator is the
with
same
our brother
Creator
there,
for all.
with Abu Khalid.
Right. You see, as a Muslim, I agree with you on that. I shake your hand and tell you you are correct. We are all are the children of God, and there is no one special Son of God as a begotten Son of God. We are all the children of God as we are the creation of God. We're not begotten from Him, as He went onto a woman and had a son. Uh, that's forbidden. Like
Now,
we can't say that.
the the concept in which you're stating, where it's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, that actually comes from a Roman Catholic concept. That comes from a previous concept that uh, now this is my own personal view. I'm not saying that there's any, I'm not discounting their view. I understand their view, but at the same time, it's a very Roman idea, and that is to discount the feminine nature of the universe. Um, they made it very clear that there's a masculine force, feminine force throughout history, but for whatever, religious purposes or for whatever purposes of control, it soon changed to an only masculine form of power, which was the Heavenly Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But that's a more Roman Catholic idea, and we can't discount creation, and we can't, discount motherhood. You know, my wife. Um, so I have three children. When my wife gave birth to my daughter, one of the women that were there in the actual hospital room was actually an atheist. And when she observed my daughter being born, she said verbally, "I'm no longer an atheist." She goes, "I felt the spirit, I felt her spirit enter the room." She said that
Mm,
she started crying. She said this was the first time in history where she felt the power of the spirit come over that room. When she said that she was born, she immediately understood the spiritual presence. And when she was born, she just started weeping.
mm,
She literally, and we all were crying. It's hard to explain, but everyone felt when she came out, it was like her spirit also came out with her. and it was a very emotional time, and you can't discount motherhood. Motherhood is, a part of that creation.
Right. Definitely,
I mean,
definitely, we
you
cannot
have
discard that. But
you have a
but what do
mother,
you say?
you have a father, and if it wasn't for both of them, you would not exist.
Right.
It
That,
required the peace and the love of both of your mother and your father for you to be a nurtured, person. You wouldn't be the person you are today if it wasn't for the loving, entity of your mother and your father. Both were required for you.
in many civilizations we
of
have done
course,
it.
of
So
course,
whether
from a
we
human point of view, I would say
killing
I cannot
certain
discard
people or certain group of people
the role of
was good for the community.
males
So
or females
we even
in the
kill people
society,
for God.
in history. Both of them
Christianity
are
for God.
important. We say the
So
woman in like
yeah,
in my culture, we say the woman is half of the society,
and I think at the
and
center of
she raised the other
at the
half.
center of it all,
So in that
there is
sense, she's a
basically
huge
the
factor
human
in the
person.
society.
That's
And the males are
basically
the
at the center.
providers, the one who take
And
care and build
so
the
we
society. So
find ourselves
I
having
would
different
say,
religions,
يعني, both of
but
them are
that's because
important.
we
However,
believe
that's
that
from a
religion
human
in
point of
at
view.
the end of the
So
day
let
we're
me ask you this:
fairly similar
what do you think about the
overall
Roman Catholic
altogether. So
point of view
we
about
also
God having a son
we're similar, but we are also each
as
other.
as
And
a
so
God's
we
son?
almost have as many
What do you
religions,
think about it? Do you
even
think
if I'm Christian
it's a
and
true,
my
it's
neighbor is
correct, or
Christian,
it's wrong?
we are a little bit different Christians.
Well,
We are
so
also
that
having our
that
own
particular
religion in a way,
concept
because
is
our psychology is different. We're
is
coming from
more
different. We
a
have different
historical
genetic
point,
makeup, and we have different
and the in
environment
that particular
from where we grew up,
concept,
and we
Yahweh
have to create
was the father that
different
Yeshua prayed to.
religion. We
So
also
when
have
Yeshua
different religions.
made a concerted effort to, pray to his father, it was his spiritual father, or the father of mankind. It was sort of the original father and mother of our existence. It didn't necessarily mean it was uh, the same kind of God that we experience when we experience the Creator, which is the Creator of all of us, which will be the external factors of the universe and galaxies and the external force. It was more um, progenitor, or the original father and mother of all of us, um, which is an interesting perspective, and leads a little bit towards Elohim, which is multiple spirits throughout the universe. Um, but I kind of like the concept where, like in the Quran, it says Allah is the Lord of all worlds. And
Mhm.
why can't Allah be, both masculine and feminine, and also be the Lord of all worlds? So Lord is, a reverent title. So if the external force that causes or influences from a creator standpoint, why can't that be all encompassing and also accepted as a universal feminine force and a universal, masculine force, both tied together?
Mm, I see. So we don't we don't necessarily in Islam we don't say
Can
God
I
is
add
a
something
male
about
or
the
female,
question?
because God is not
I
human.
just want to
We
add
say God is
very little.
a different being.
Even in
God is
Zen
nothing
Buddhism
Yeah,
that we
or
know.
in Buddhism, but
God is
I know
exactly.
about Zen
nothing that
Buddhism,
we can even
there is
imagine.
extremism.
He doesn't have a
There is
gender.
temples
He's
Yep,
all
exactly.
powerful,
monks that
all
actually
creative, all
are
merciful.
saying, okay, there's
He's
a very strict
the creator. He
way of
created
achieving
everything,
a result, and
and
you have to follow that strict
he's
way.
just we
And
cannot
so even
explain
in
God.
Zen
So
Buddhism,
he gave
that
us
seems to be a little
99
more
attributes,
open
which are also
in
his names,
certain instances.
uh,
Hmm.
to know
There is
him.
still
And knowing
communities
the
that are
creator is one of the
that
greatest
are much
prayers
stricter,
in Islam.
and we
When you
find
know
this
your creator,
in all
you're
religions. We
becoming
see that there's
closer
more
and closer to your
um,
creator. because of
Mm-hmm.
course, if you pray to God, to the Creator, then it would be only making sense if you understand who are you praying to, who is that God,
Mm-hmm.
what are his attributes, what does he look like, what does he do, where is he, how where was he, where he will be,
Well,
what he,
even in the
all of
concept that
these
you're
questions.
describing, you said that there's no attributes, but you keep on using the word he.
As a matter of just like in the sake of the conversation. But
Okay.
as I
Okay.
like
No,
in Islam,
understandable.
he doesn't have again, he doesn't have a gender, or male or
Understand. No,
female, but just
I understand. It's for the sake of the conversation. I understand. That's fine.
right, right. So yeah, we don't say that we can even imagine how does he look like. So knowing him by his attributes, which he provided the 99 attributes, is one of the greatest prayers, as I mentioned.
Mm.
But saying that, now, would you, because some people would take the Roman Catholic belief not as a historical point of view, as you said. They would take it as a belief. They would firmly believe that Jesus is the Son of God, the begotten Son of God. That God, he had this idea of having a son, a kid, and he sent him to sacrifice himself, and he took him back, and they take it as a belief. So would you accept that as a belief for yourself, or would you say that belief is correct? Would you say about
Um, if I'm going to be honest about that concept, I have to put into the factor of the Jewish people and Yahweh being the progenitor God of that particular people group. So Yeshua stating that he is the begotten son or a begotten son of Yahweh doesn't necessarily contradict with my concept because I also have a father that would be my progenitor father, and it may not be Yahweh. It may be my father. It may be, you know, there's many possibilities in the universe. And my father could have been my origin father, my original father and mother, um, may not be. Um, I mean, I would have to do a genetic test. My parents have stated that I'm Jewish Danish, so I could have some sort of connection with Yahweh on a genetic level. But for instance, I have a mother and a father on both sides, and they have mothers and fathers on both sides as well. So that's actually four people that caused my mother and my father, which caused me.
Hmm.
So you could say there's a lot of ways of interpreting, that concept. Um, so, for instance, my immediate grandmother just passed. She was 93 years old, and she lived a long happy life, and we prayed after she died um, that she has the choice of going into heaven and uh, being reincarnated or changed or transformed into the heavenly place that she needs to be in, or to be with us in spirit. Um, that is up to the universe and up to her as far as the concept is concerned. Um, but her relationship with my grandfather was very strong, and I do believe that there's some sort of connection between the two. They were very happy together their entire life. My grandfather passed a little bit earlier than she did, but they were still very, very close. We definitely believe that closeness, is impactful in the afterlife. Um, and then on my other side, I and I have another grandmother and grandfather, and they were also very close and um, very mature in their relationship. And same thing goes for them. Um, I do definitely believe that in the afterlife, they are connected. In the spirit, they are connected on some level. Um, does that make sense? Do you understand where I'm going with this, or does that make sense? What I'm
I can see the concept, but definitely I cannot see the basis. So your belief is from where it's derived. Yeah, like do you believe in a like I see that maybe you see the afterlife as a concept, but if you're Christian, that would differ definitely. I don't think Christians would agree with you what happened
well,
on
no,
that concept.
because I don't see it as a concept. I see it as actual physical reality. It's not,
Ah,
it's not just a concept. So, for instance, it's an action. So, if I if I remove my headset in VR, so this is my headset I'm wearing right now. I'm in virtual reality, and you can see my avatar, right?
mm,
So, if I were to stop, speaking to you in VR and turn off my headset, I would experience, sort of like a virtual reality death, so to speak. Does that make sense?
mm,
It's not
I can see. Yeah.
dead, but my headset, let's say that my headset dies because it's, gone out of power, and when I leave, my avatar just, goes away, but the real me, that, the spirit within me, the real person still lives. And my actions, let's say that I'm hungry and I take off my headset and I go down and I food, and then I come back up and I join you back in VR again. Um, that same concept is still an action. So when I
Right.
die, heaven exists everywhere. The entire universe is my heaven. So when I die, my actions are to physically go to heaven. Um, the entire universe is my heaven, and it's an actual. I'm not talking about a fictitious or concept of heaven that doesn't exist. It actually is there and it's actually real. And when I die, my action is to go to heaven.
Mm. I see. So let me go with the same analogy, the virtual reality. So, of course, if I take my headset right now, as you explained it, it would be a virtual reality death, and I would go back to the reality because all of
Hmm.
what I'm seeing around me, as real as it looks, it is
Hmm.
not real. So when I take the
Yep.
headset, I would see what's the reality, where I'm
Yep.
sitting, where is my house, and I will experience a real life, and then I can choose later on to go back on virtual reality.
Yep.
However, we know that for a fact because we experienced the real life. Now that's the main difference between that example and our life example. In our
Hmm.
life, we did not experience after death, or we did, however, we forgot.
Well,
We
some of us have. Some of us
so
remember. So,
um,
some people, it's a part of your spiritual journey. Some people don't remember, of course, but there are many people, actually, one of my entire life, I have felt like I remember living before, even when I was a young man. Um,
felt
I remember distinctly, I remember very, very adamantly and very distinctly living many, many lives before this life. This, you know, this life is an amazing life. I've been to Jamaica. I've seen fish, floating through my feet in, very clear water. I've had many experiences in this life. I hope that I remember, this life in my next life, because there's been many experiences that I cherish in this life. But I very, very, very distinctly remember having previous lives before this life.
I see. So basically, when you say you remember having a life before this life, you still not remembering the after life, the actual reality. You still remembering, for example, if we
I
go with the
I
analogy of the
also
virtual
I
reality.
also feel like
Uh,
I remember the afterlife as well.
do you have any visions of how does it look like?
Um, from my perspective, it looks very similar to what we would perceive um, from our perception. So, for instance, our eyes can only see from 300 terahertz to 700 terahertz. It's only one, very tiny frequency within reality. We can only see a sliver of all of the spectrum of reality. Um, in what I would perceive as the afterlife, there is much more that we can see. There's much more that we can observe, and much more that we can, interact with. That is limited by our body. So our body is nothing more than a vehicle. So when I go into my vehicle and I drive down the street, I'm not the car. I'm the person inside the car. When I put on my headset, not the virtual reality me, I'm the person driving virtual reality. Uh,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I think
the me
I think that
inside
the
is
challenge is
spiritual.
more about what's happening after life. How does it look like?
So my perspective of the afterlife would be the same as the perspective that you would have as a human, but there would be far more interactions with spirituals throughout the entire universe. It would just be this perception compound by a lot more, interactions from a spiritual standpoint. We're not limited by 300, 700 terahertz. We're not limited by the spectrum that is very tiny. We no longer have that, limitation. We now are able to be lifted by the veil, which is our eyes. We can now see every spectrum. So we can see
Right,
radio frequencies, we can see
right.
light
I
frequencies, we
agree
can
with you
see,
on that.
you know, uh,
Actually,
particle
In the
frequencies.
Quran, there is a verse that says, فكشفنا عنك غطاءك فبصرك اليوم حديد. Today we take the veil from your sight, and your vision now is strong as metal.
Mm.
Like it's very strong, so you can see. And that starts basically from the beginning of when someone is dying, the spirit is leaving his body. He start to experience this, taking the veil out of his sight, so he start to see things. Now we believe in that as Muslims. However, I just fail to understand what is afterlife to you. For example, let me just be specific here. In Islam, for example, we believe that once we die, once we leave this body, again, I agreeing with you 100% that it's like a vehicle. This body is a vehicle. We don't take it with us on the afterlife. We
Exactly.
will die, and then we
your
will
your
meet a spirit.
spirit transcends, but your body, the vehicle stays here on, gets recycled by the earth and gets
Now that what the body or the spirit will get recycled.
so the body gets recycled by the earth. Whenever a
Okay.
body is buried in the ground, the earth essentially takes, like, have you ever seen a body that has been mummified, or that has been buried in the ground for a long period of time? It turns right back into dust. I mean, it literally, the if you pick it up with your hands and you were to unwrap like a mummy, for instance, it would fall apart in your hands just like
Right.
dust.
Right.
It returns
Right.
back to the earth. It
Right.
returns back to, to the environment that is the earth. But your spirit is living energy. It's like the water or the vessel. It's the spiritual everlasting life that is inside this vehicle. And when this vehicle passes away and you're reborn, and you're just your spirit is just in a new container in a new form.
Right.
So the first part I agree with. Body will get recycled and the spirit will leave the body. However, the second part is, of course, as a Muslim, I would believe that there would be a day of judgment. There would be a day where we all will have justice. Justice not only from others, but also for ourselves. For
So
ourselves,
think
God,
think of
God will, God will,
think of particle
will
physics.
give us a test, and then
Are you
based on
familiar
our
with
results,
particle physics or quantum physics?
not really, because that's not my field,
So
to be honest.
the memory of your brain remembers um, actions and reactions that you have when you're alive. That same process is not just a human process. The earth also remembers. The universe, the galaxy, Allah also remembers. So that judgment is not incorrect. That memory still exists. And you do receive a judgment in the afterlife based on your actions. If I were to hurt a whole bunch of people, I very much believe that in the afterlife, you're going to be judged for that action. If I bless a whole bunch of people, if I bless the entire universe and I bless every person that, that comes into play, um, you do get blessed in the afterlife. Um,
Okay, okay, okay.
I mean,
So far, so good.
I
So far, we
I
agree,
hope I hope
Mr.
you are blessed. I hope you are
Yeah,
blessed in the
I,
afterlife.
I hope, I
And
hope that I am, and I
th-
hope
there
that you are
are
too.
many
How?
people that don't believe that, believe in hurting and believe in, scarring people, and that is not good, and they will be judged. There is no, you can't get away from that. That's relevant in every religion. You have karma, you have, penance for sins, you have judgment. Every single religion has a concept of, you know, uh, your actions are essentially on a quantum level. Um, it's like, how can I explain that? So the body goes through, actually everything goes through a quantum level of self-assembly and memory. So even from a biological level, we have, concepts and physical matter in our body that remember and makes actions based on that memory. And that's just in our body. So in our body, we have genes that turn into protein, and then the protein remembers to be a part of that system that is recreated into a cell and recreated into a blood cell, which actually goes and, assists in my entire body and my entire actions. How much more does the universe remember?
Mm. No,
If my
regarding
body
the
is
universe,
capable
I
of
agree with
memory,
you that the universe is alive. In Islam, also in the Quran, it says that the trees, the mountains, the earth, and everything that was created is is praying. However, we do not understand. We do not
wait, wait,
understand. We do
say
not
that again. How
understand them.
it says? Can you say that one more time? How is that stated?
The trees, the mountains, the earth, and everything that was created is praying to the Creator. However, we do not understand their prayers. We do not understand their language, but they are alive. They are praying. That's mentioned in the
Wow,
Quran, and I do agree with you
wow.
on that point.
What? Can you give me the verse?
Yeah,
The verse of that?
Let me pull it out.
We don't even know how many
That
galaxies
is
there is.
actually, we are
So the Big
just
Bang may
now
be a bunch of
understanding that
galaxies, but
from
but
a
it's
quantum
not
level, from a
not
scientific
all of
level.
them.
We are just now understanding that. That means that that concept was even in the Quran before. We are barely, and I mean barely, understanding that today. We are scratching the surface of that concept.
I don't mean to interject here, but
Humanity
Mr.
is not just one religion. We need the
Saint,
answer for
in
humanity.
Islam we do have a plethora of scientific
I
miracles
don't think we have an
that are
answer
similar
for
to this and are
why we
miraculous in
believe
nature.
Islam.
If you would like, I can give you a name of a book in which you can look up if you, in your spare
And what
time,
is the
and
answer?
you can look at similar
That's
miracles
right.
which are only being discovered from today, as the one my brother just mentioned about the heavens and the earth and things. They are in fact they have what's the word? They are in some sense they are alive, like the sentient beings. That's brother
I mean, it's not
is
that I
given one.
disagree.
We have a
Not that I
plethora
disagree.
of these miracles, and
I
if you'd
am
like, I
gonna
can give you a
start
name
by
of a
saying
book
that I don't
in
know.
which
So
you
if
can look and you can
I'm
look similar.
disagreeing, that means I know.
Well, think about that
I've
fully. So when I, let's say that,
I don't see the big.
um, say that I am downstairs in my kitchen and I'm cooking something for my daughter or my son,
If we eliminate the
and
notion
I
of
pull out a
time,
knife
there is
and
no
I
big.
cut my finger, I cut my hand. There's a gene inside my
If we
body
eliminate the notion of
that
time, we eliminate
actually
the
has the
beginning point.
contextual place to repair the cut in my hand.
Not convincing.
Thank you, sir. I will look that up right. I'm sorry. Let me finish that statement, but hold on one second. Let me look this up real quick.
Time does not
Okay.
exist.
So the chapter is called Al-Isra, and the verse is 44. If it would help, the chapter is number 17.
He
The verse
just
is
left for a
44.
second.
I am not sure because the theory of relativity was given by one of our scientists, right? And scientists have been proven wrong many times before. Scientists have been wrong many Yeah, I'm not argue that point because I don't think I'm an expert in these matters. So yeah, yeah. But I think I think that's the point of everything is that
Oh, wait.
individuals believe whatever they want to believe.
So, is it
Everyone can have this opinion.
1714? So, I'll already.
1744 is the same verse basically, but instead of chapter Al-Isra, I just wrote chapter 17. I thought that would make it easier for you to find it.
Yeah, it did. Um,
Why
let's see here.
why do you need to have an
Wow.
absolute truth? Like if I don't need to have an absolute truth, why would that concept even enter my mind?
Okay. So, 17. Fifteen, 16.
And live in your
Mr.
lifetime, you'll
Saint, I
find
would
that
just
out.
like to add that I think it was you whom I had an interaction with last time here at Speaker's Corner with the philosophy of the Kalam. Not the philosophy, rather the science is what you pointed out.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was
That was one verse, but this kind of concept is mentioned throughout the Quran. If you would like to research more upon it, you could write, for example, in Arabic, I would say tasbih, the prayers of the trees, the mountains, the earth, everything for the Creator in Quran, and you would find many verses talking about the same concept. So that was
well.
one of the verses
I
there.
I I have read that a couple times before, and I've read through the Quran before, and I've read that before, but I'm not fully familiar with all the different verses, and so I have a trouble. I've read it before, and then I try to remember what the verse was. It's like I go back, and I was like, "What was that verse?" And I'll forget the actual verse and the place where it's written again, and so then I have to kind of write it down, and
Right.
same research.
So to make it easier, instead of going throughout the Quran, you just write in Google, for example, verses in the Quran about trees praying, for example, or mountains praying, and you will find it. You will find some people listing the verses that this concept is mentioned, and it would make it much easier for
I've
you.
done that before, but for whatever reason, I haven't put in that actual phrase. I'll do that from now on. Quran versus about, and then maybe in quotes put the actual context.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So I think Brother Bilal was saying something. I got you, brother. Sorry.
It's Mr. Scientist. It was you whom I had an interaction with last time regarding the Kalam and the second premise.
Responding to what you say, that it looks like I have been traumatized by Christianity, and I ask you, what
Oh,
would you
If I'm
say?
yeah.
correct.
So,
You
what did I say when I was speaking to you? I said something in regards to what you said, but I don't remember what exactly I was saying. That what we were talking about interrupted my thought process. Sorry.
It was in general. It was not. It was not related to. Yeah, yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
remember
sorry for
what I
that.
was saying to you?
Yes, we were speaking about the. Well, we didn't actually have a conversation. You were speaking to a few of the brothers of mine and joined in the conversation, and you were speaking about the Kalam and the second premise, and you objected to the second premise on scientific grounds, and but unfortunately you had to go at that time, and we didn't get to really discuss what your contention was with the second premise. So, if you would like, would you care for a discussion on
When do I start losing
What exactly was
that
the second
probability?
premise?
And that starts. It seems to me, again, I'm not going to
second premise?
say
Well,
that
the
I
Kalam goes like
believe what
this:
I'm saying,
the first
it
premise
seems
was
to me
that
that we start
everything
having
that begins to
when we
exist has a
start having
cause. The second
arguments.
premise
And
is
so when we
the
have
universe
arguments,
began to
our
exist, and you
environment,
objected to
our
the
genetic
universe's
background,
existence.
our so many factors will influence us
Uh,
believing in something.
I no, I don't object to
That
the
is
universe's existence. No, I know the universe exists.
No, the second premise is the universe began to exist. Do you agree with that?
So my concept of the existence or the beginning of existence has to do with our galaxy and not so much the universe, because we don't really have any data as far as the universe is concerned, but we do have data as far as our galaxy is concerned.
Yes, exactly. This is the contention that you had brought up last time. And from this is basically a scientific contention, but unfortunately, due to time, you had to leave abruptly, and we couldn't continue that conversation. So, would you like to have that conversation?
It looks like we are looking
Sure. If you want to, yeah, sure.
and can I overcome that
Okay.
hardship? And then I
So, what
start
exactly
looking for things
do you
that
find
will make sense.
problematic with the second premise of the Kalam?
Yeah, I strongly disagree with that.
It's not that I disagree with it in any way, shape, or form. It's not that there is any evidence to state that it is false or true. Um, so think of every galaxy. So we have. So how old are you?
How old am I?
Yes. How old are you?
Take a guess.
I have no idea. How old are you?
Okay, I'm 17.
17. So I am 44.
Okay.
So let's say that you are Galaxy A. So in the entire universe, we have so many galaxies. We don't have a number to define how many galaxies we have in the universe, correct? Would you
Okay.
agree
Yep.
upon that? So when you were born, you were 17 years old. Now let's say that you're a galaxy, and instead of 17 years, it's 17 billion years. Right? So when you were born, did was I actually born the same time that you were born?
No.
No. So I'm 44 years old, and brother, how old are you?
I'm 27.
27. So let's say that all three of us are different galaxies. Um, brother over here is you said you're
27. Yes.
27. So you're 27 billion years old. You're 17 billion years old. I am 44 billion years old. And this, environment that we live in, that we're in right this second, is the concept of the universe. And we are different galaxies within the universe. So the origin of your birth is different than the origin of my birth. So my birth, I existed far longer than you have because you're only 17. That doesn't discount your experiences. You still have a rich 17 years of experiences, or 17 billion years to create or to exist within the universe. You could have, our galaxy is what, 13.7 billion years old. So in 13.7 billion years, we already have life on this planet. That that is very young for all of the entire universe. A 13.7 billion year old galaxy, that's actually an extremely young galaxy. And if our calculations are correct, we are incredibly young when it comes to the entire universe. There could be Andromeda, for instance. Andromeda, we think, is actually older than us. So the actual scientific data from, Redshift indicates that Andromeda is actually probably 5 billion years older than we are. So
Okay.
that means for our existence, we're only 13 years old in, perspective of the universe. We're only 13 years old, but Andromeda is actually 5 billion years older. So in the concept of the universe, when you state that premise of outside of space and time, that essentially refers, especially during that time, we didn't know of any other galaxies beyond our galaxy. We didn't have any evidence of it. We had spiritual context and spiritual evidence of it. But we had no physical evidence during that time. We now have physical evidence of not just one galaxy, we have physical evidence of billions and billions of galaxies. We know there are so many galaxies out there, we don't even have a number to define how many galaxies are actually out there. We're still looking and we're still finding more galaxies. That's phenomenal.
Okay. All right.
In that perspective, your birth is 17 billion years. Your birth is 27 billion years. My birth is 44 billion years. So my grandmother, for example, she just died. She's 93 billion years. She is far older than all of us. Her wisdom in the concept of a galaxy is far surpasses our feeble concept of the universe. Her concept of the universe is far more advanced than our very limited 17 years, 27 years, and 44 years. There are people in this room right now, right this second, that are older than us. And their wisdom is far more mature than ours. Their wisdom is whatever age they are. Their wisdom is, 50 billion years, in some case 64, in some case 72. Their wisdom could be completely surpassing ours in the perspective of the universe. So it's not that I don't disagree with premise two, not in any way, but I would assert that that premise only refers to our galaxy and not the entire universe because we don't have the data for the entire universe. We only have the data for our galaxy as
Okay.
of right now.
Now, Mr. Sain, I don't mean to interject here, but I can highlight the problem and the issue, the underlying problem. Wait, can you hear me, first of all?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I've highlighted the problem, the underlying problem. It's one of, it's what your epistemological tool is. When you first started your explanation, when you first told me why you don't, why you disagree with the second premise because as to the universe as a whole having a beginning, you said it's because we haven't got any evidence. Then you said we haven't got any observation. This would presuppose that your barometer is that of a materialist. So you only believe evidence can come in the form, or if it's of being tangible. If you can only view it, if you can only see it, then it's true. You can only
No.
test it.
No, no, no,
So
no.
what is, if I'm incorrect,
N-
then
hold,
tell me
hold on.
what's
Hold
your
on. Hold
evidence?
on.
You
There,
consider as being evidence.
that's not how science works. So,
I don't deal with the science. I don't deal with. I deal with the philosophy. And
okay, so
science rests on the philosophy.
that's not how philosophy or science works. So you
That's how
have to
logic
understand
works.
that's not how logic works. So
So
think of it
please do
like
explain.
this. So um, you let's say that I were to logically define what is in my room right now. So I'm upstairs. I'm in my bedroom. I'm sitting on my bed. I have a desk and a computer right next to me. I have a television in front of me. My kids are downstairs. I came upstairs just a few minutes ago because I wanted to attend a particular event, and I found this event, and so I came into this event, and now you and me are speaking. Now you can make the assumption, all the things I just stated. You can know based on your environment what happens in my environment based on logic. The logic would tell you what is going on in my environment. But until I actually told you what actually happens in my environment, you didn't know. You can make a philosophy concept, you can make a assertion to that philosophy, but until I actually told you, I could even take a step further and I could make a photograph of my room and send it to you. You have an email address, I can make a picture and I can actually send it to you. But until you get that photo, you can only make assumptions until you get the evidence. I'm not discounting the evidence, so I can make the same assertion about your location. I can say you're on a computer because your arms aren't really moving around the way from someone in a virtual environment. You're on a computer. I can say that you are located in a particular location. I can say um, maybe you have some schooling, maybe you have a lot of schooling. It all depends on what schooling you actually have. I can make the assumption that you have a mother and a father. You probably have children. I mean, not children, but you probably have, brothers and sisters. But those are all assumptions based on information that I'm observing from you right now. But until you actually tell me point blank or give me evidence of it, it's philosophy until that evidence comes into play. I'm not discounting it. Evidence is not something that supersedes the source. You are still receiving the information from the source, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there has to be some level of evidence to back up the claim and back up the philosophy. Now, your claim is very, very close to the truth. It's probably closer to the truth than most people realize. Your claim is incredibly close to the truth. But until I get the physical evidence, it still is in the realm of philosophy and it's still in the realm of belief until I get the physical evidence, until you send me the photograph of your room. It still remains in a level of philosophy and not in a level of reality yet from my
Okay.
perspective or from your perspective.
So basically, what I've understood from that then, obviously, I'm not claiming. First of all, I'd like to put a disclaimer and say that I'm not claiming to be an expert. Neither am I claiming to have an immense knowledge on the topic at hand. Rather, I will say this now that I do have a basic understanding of the fields that we are about to divulge in, such as because as of right now,
But
it's a problem of
I
what
can
the
tell by the way that you're
epistemological
speaking right
measurement is.
now. I can tell by this way that you're speaking right now that you're intelligent. You're very intelligent. And that's going to be a good thing for you in the future. You're growing. And as you're now 17, but just like the universe is growing. We're all, just like our galaxy, you're growing, the galaxy is growing. And as you grow, you will understand things deeper and more rich as you grow.
So, so put,
Would
so
you agree? Would you agree with the fact that you're going to grow and as a brother, you will grow in the knowledge of Allah? Am I correct in that statement?
yeah, no doubt. There's no point in that. Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that you agree with the fact that your knowledge and your maturity is going to grow the older you get, and you will
Yes.
be a very impactful brother later on in life, but you're still growing.
I agree. I agree. Now, just put simply, I'd like to ask you a question. Are you a materialist?
No.
Mr. Sainz, are you a materialist?
No.
So when I say evidence, what do you think of?
Evidence is something that uh, is seen, and also there is evidence that can be unseen. So that there's multiple dimensions and there's multiple perspectives. Like I said before, we only see from 300 terahertz to 700 terahertz. We only see a tiny window, a sliver of reality. There are many, many things that we cannot see with the limitations of our eyes and the limitations of our experience. So when you say, are you a materialist? I would suggest 99.9999% of reality we cannot see. we only see 0, 0, 0, 1% of reality.
Aye.
Okay, so in terms of the field of
So
epistemology,
the material world,
what would you say?
understand that.
What would,
Hold on a second. The material world is only 0, 0, point 0.0000 5 zeros and then a 1 cent. Material world is only that tiny sliver. Of the whole universe, we only see one tiny sliver of the material world.
okay, all right. I can understand that and I accept that. But in terms of the field of epistemology, what are you? What do you believe in the field of epistemology? Are you a dualist, an idealist, a foundationalist, an empiricist, a rationalist? What are you? As in, what school would you associate yourself with when it comes to requesting for evidence? Does it have to be physical in order for it to be valid, or can it be non-physical in order for it to be valid as well?
Um, so again, we only see that tiny little sliver. So let's say that I use a compute system. So there is, uh, let's just go with hertz. So in this, not megahertz, just hertz. In the spectrum from 0 to 999 hertz, I visually cannot see that information, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So let's say that I make a transmission. I send a signal that is a TV signal, or I send a radio. So I turn on my radio and I listen and I tune in to frequencies between 0 and 999 hertz. Now, that spectrum I can't see, but I can hear, and I can send photographs over that same spectrum. I can even tune my television to those frequencies and transmit information from one location to another location, and my TV picks up on that information. I can transmit information via my wireless router. I can transmit information between those frequencies by many, many different means.
Don't mean to interject, Mr.
I
Said, but
cannot
do you mind if
see.
we take this conversation more to the side as it's getting quite loud with the surrounding noises?
Sure, sure.
We can take it more down here.
ميدو كيف حالك؟